All right. Here we are back in the podcast chairs. Two of us this week, better than one. Eventually we'll get the whole gang back together, but we're recapping week five. Few days out, honestly. And so I'm going to have to do some remembering on how all the games went. I watched pretty much all the morning ones. And then I watched Packers in the afternoon. So, didn't do a whole lot of the Pittsburgh Cowboys game because it was delayed and I had to work and get up at 6 in the morning.
What a bummy start. And just 3 quarters of bad, not fun
Yeah.
to watch football, too.
I mean, I've seen all the replays. It seems like Pittsburgh's defense is for real, and it just
Yeah.
seems like the Cowboys haven't really figured it out yet on offense.
No,
I
shooting
mean?
themselves in the foot. You got Dak throwing a pick on a miscommunication with CD. You got Rico Dowdle fumbling at the 1 yard line. You got Dak losing a fumble, all in the first half. They should have had a 3-score lead going into halftime.
Yeah. I mean, the one nice thing I guess to come out of it, like we were saying in the group chat, you guys are dealing with all these injuries and stuff, which is always hard as a fan. Like when you see half your team go down, like I
Our
mean,
top
it's
four
rough.
pass rushers were out. We
I
were
know.
missing Demarcus Lawrence, missing Michael Parsons, missing, I don't even remember the other guy, Nealand.
Neil,
He went
second
out
round
during
draft
the
pick,
game.
right?
Yeah. And then a
Yeah.
fourth one, too. I don't remember.
Yeah. Well,
Rough
Mozzie
stuff.
got hurt, didn't he? Didn't Mozzie get hurt too, or something like that? The D
I think
tackle.
so. Yeah. I don't know how
Yeah.
serious it is,
So,
but he got banged up and he got Bland is out, too. So, and he was the hero last year, stepping up for Diggs.
which
So,
they've missed him a lot this year. This is what I've noticed. Like I was
mhm.
just started thinking about it around week 3. I was like, man, I was just thinking, I was like, why is there passing? I was like, oh yeah, Deron Bland's down the field. It's a pretty big
Yeah.
difference. He was a big part of that team and that defense last year. So,
Yes, he was.
um, that's part of the explanation I think as to why they're not so good. And then, you guys miss Dan Quinn. Like you see how good Dan Quinn is as a coach. I mean, he's got the Commanders 4-1. Like,
He
like
good. He real good. I
he's a
mean,
good
the
coach.
Jaden Daniels is a big part of that, too. But
Well, yeah, but they selected him. You know what I mean? Like you got to give credit to the guy for getting the right personnel, for coaching the
definitely.
personnel that he does have. Like they have a bad defense, but their defense, I will say, is opportunistic. Like they give up a lot of yards, but they do make plays, and then you don't have to make that many when you got a potential rookie MVP candidate.
Yeah.
People are talking about MVP Jaden Daniels right now, which you don't hear that around a rookie. So that's pretty
No.
wild that he's done that through 5 games. So
Well, like you said, the killer defense just gives such a peace of mind to young quarterbacks too. If you don't have the weight of the world put on your shoulders right off the bat, it's easier to kind of develop and just kind of learn the system and go as you go.
yeah, and definitely like not just because he's on my own team, just as like a football fan. I mean, he just came in ready to go. You know what I mean? It seems like he's got all the
Yeah.
poise in the world. Seems like he's got the command of the team almost immediately. Week 3 when they started letting him throw the ball down the
He's
field,
he's
nothing but points.
electric. He's
Yeah.
it's like those small stretches where like Justin Fields looks like he's untouchable, like with his legs.
Hmm.
He's got that. But then he's got all the leadership and the shit that the Bears were hoping that Fields was gonna have day one.
Yeah. And he's got the arm talent too. I mean, he's got a wildly accurate deep throw. Like
Yeah.
I saw him made some throws so far this year where he's just putting them right in the bucket. It's kind of insane to see a rookie doing that, but we shouldn't be that surprised he did it at LSU,
We go
so
back. We can go back to the projections preseason and see which one of us had the Commanders at first in the NFC East after 6 weeks or whatever
I
it's
don't
been.
think anybody was saying
5 weeks.
first, but I'm pretty sure I was saying they were fighting for the middle of the pack and you guys saying they were last. So take
Yeah,
a
I think
small victory lap on that.
I'm pretty sure we decided the Giants were going to be last and the
Yeah.
Commanders like a solid third.
I
I had,
thought they
had no
might
idea.
I thought they might edge for second. I said it a few times.
No, you did. You did. It was Cody
Yeah.
and I that definitely did not.
Yeah, but I mean, Cliff Kingsbury coaching the year of his life right now too. I mean, his offense, it's insane what they're doing. But yeah, anyway, I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff in the NFL. I guess the most sane thing is that the Chiefs are 5-0. I don't think anybody's surprised to see that they're winning ball games.
No, and doing
Um,
it in unimpressive fashion. That's just what they do.
yeah,
They
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 just
don't
win.
blow you away, but they will beat you.
And then by the end of the year, they'll be a juggernaut and they'll be kicking everybody's ass
Uh-huh.
or they'll
With
find a way to
that
win
with
by
that
3.
incredible home field advantage that they're probably still going to have since they're undefeated.
It's just like what we used to see out of like the Cowboys when they had that team, or the Bills when they had the team in the '90s, or the Broncos for some periods in the '90s, then the Patriots. When you get an organization that just like starts breeding greatness and there's a culture of winning there, that elevates everybody's play. That's why
Yeah,
you see these random guys, Carson Steele, Andre, he comes in and like he plays at a level higher than what he would at another organization. Plays at a higher level than he would if he was playing for Jacksonville or Las
100%.
Vegas. You know what I mean? So it's
They can
just
take a shot on guys that a lot of teams won't because they don't have the system to develop them or to
absolutely.
nurture a healthy learning environment, you know?
Yeah, and you get guys like Juju who are all depressed about their career, walk back into Kansas City and looks like a superstar day one immediately.
Nah, I'd
You know
argue
what I
on the
mean?
superstar part, but I
But I don't
hear
know,
you.
man. He looked good. He looked good.
He's
Nine
the
nine for over
reason that
100.
that fat man got an interception against Patrick Mahomes by not catching an easy routine
Okay.
touchdown ball
All
in his
right.
hands. Did you
All
forget
right.
about that one?
Sure. All right. Sure. But I feel like that was part of the script so they could talk more about Taylor Swift. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
his,
it
his
could be.
brother's in the backup
I
there.
don't have that
I don't know.
information, so it could be.
I don't know. Everybody's been talking about scripts this year, but um, I don't know. Juju looked good for what he's been the last few years, is all I'm saying. Yeah, he should have
Yeah,
caught
yeah.
that pass, but he obviously added a lot to their passing game, which
Well,
they
you're
needed.
talking about the 5-0 Chiefs being no surprise. How about the inverse of that? The 5-0 Minnesota Vikings.
I mean,
The
they're the
Sam Darnold Minnesota Vikings.
I mean, Brian Flores, some of these guys that come out of being head coaches and go back into being coordinators, the second time around, they're even better because it's like they've been there, they've done it. They're not
Yeah.
afraid anymore. They've been to the top of the show. Now they're back, and the world's probably gotten a little smaller for them.
That
So it's like,
defense, as somebody who grew up playing defense, I love watching that aggressive B flow defense. They have
yeah,
the highest point differential in the entire league, the Minnesota Vikings, and it's
they
by roughly 20 points, man. It's a margin.
and if you watch them, what they've been doing is they come out and they storm the gates right away. They're never not ready to go. They get on top of you in the first quarter, and then you're scrambling the rest of the game. Second
Yep.
quarter, they get a little bit bigger lead. A lot of times they let you back in a little bit in the second half, but by then it's sometimes too late. And that
Mhm.
defense still ends up making a play or two in the second half, and that's how they're 5-0. I mean, that's how
I
every one of their
saw
games gone.
a clip from Harrison Smith in some locker room interview after a few weeks, like a 3-0, 4-0 start, when everybody starts asking questions about it, when it starts to stand out. And Harrison Smith was just like, listen, man, sometimes you just have a feeling about a team that just feels like you got something special.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's real because the team will buy into it.
Well, and they brought in, I feel like, the right personnel. Like, on the McAfee show today, they were talking about all of the like the not too my own horn, but Wisconsin linebackers that are in the league this year
Doot, doot.
that are dominating. I mean, you look at it like Leo Chanel, they brought in Van Ginkel. Van Ginkel has scored 2 touchdowns for them. Like he's
Mhm.
playing out of his mind. Harrison Phillips in the middle is shutting down the run. Jonathan Grenard might have been the better part of the trade. They got rid of Daniil Hunter, and I think Jonathan Grenard's been better
Which
in
is
Minnesota.
wild because I
You
remember
know,
that Daniil Hunter going was a big deal.
I mean, I
And
think yeah, go ahead.
I'll just say, well, continue because I was going to talk about the offensive side.
Well, I was just going to say is that, I think Daniil's been fine for Houston, but Grenard has been getting constant pressure in every single one of these Minnesota games. The back end's playing well. Steph Gilmore's still got it. Still a guy you
And
don't want
and
to throw
it
at.
and not to knock Daniil because if he was still in that system, he might still be eating people alive too, you know.
Sure. Yeah,
But
100%.
then they brought in Aaron Jones on the offensive side. They don't, which I feel is huge because they haven't had any tight end presence without Hawkins sauce. So
Yep.
they've been kind of forced to use him as exactly what he's great at, which is a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. I mean, he can do it all. Not as durable, obviously, as he once was when he was taking a much bigger workload, but and hopefully he's okay. Like there are some, fears that he might miss the game coming off the bye, but like he'll probably be good by week 8 at least.
Yeah, probably.
You
They're
know?
calling him week to week now with the hip injury.
Yeah, which, he's susceptible to lower body injuries. I mean, we've seen that for the last 3-4 years. So
Mm-hmm.
but I mean when he's
But then they got
healthy,
JJ, and it doesn't matter who's throwing that man the ball. Justin Jefferson is the real deal.
I mean,
Put that man in the if he retired tomorrow, he's probably a second or third ballot Hall of Famer.
yeah, I mean, if he makes it 6, 7 years, he'll be a first. He'll be first, no problem. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's so. I mean, he's insane. Addison's coming back. He's playing well. Didn't have a great week this week because DJ Reed was shutting down. But the Jets are terrible, so they lost. Um, but anyway, should we get into the matchups a little bit? Talk about
Let's
that.
do it. Let's do it.
Which one you want to talk about first? You want to go
I
Todd
know
and
yours
Jacoby?
is pulled up already, so let's just do yours first and get it out of the way.
I mean, I like my
You said
team.
on that solo pod episode, well, I ain't got the boys here, so I'll go ahead and do mine first. Like we don't do yours first every week
It's
anyway.
just the way the app presents it. We all know it's the
On
easiest
your
thing.
side, everybody's team is their own first
I know.
matchup.
I know.
You
I'm the host, so we
jack
do it my way.
wagon.
You know what I'm
All right,
saying?
let's do it. Let's do it.
But anyway, obviously, we talking about Jaden Daniels. Nothing but happy with him. Obviously, it would have been nice to play Kirk Cousins this week.
Well, for the people that don't have the visuals in front of us, why don't you tell them the score first?
It's 99-81. We put up
You ended
81
up
points.
laying down, which is what all of Allen's opponents have done this
I know.
season.
It's frustrating to see that 2 weeks in a row and to see it out of guys that you wouldn't expect it from. Like, you know, one thing I'm happy about in New York, about the head coach leaving, is that maybe we'll see a breath of fresh air in this offense. And maybe we might get one of the most talented running backs in the league the freaking ball and scheme up some actually nice running plays where he's not getting hit 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage every time. Like, let the man have a yard before contact and he's going to dominate. Yeah, I haven't seen
Yeah.
that since week 2.
You
Like, come
remember
on,
last
man.
year, the first 3 weeks, like the first game, he only had like 4 touches, but 2 of them went for 50-yard touchdowns.
He is a top 5 back in the NFL. And I know Braylon Allen's good. Yeah, it's all fun. Like, let's get Braylon Allen involved 20% of the time. Brees Hall is your running
Is the
back. Give him the
guy.
ball. Like, come on, man.
Is
You
this
know?
the first week you've had Tyreek Hill too? So having Tyreek Hill and Brees Hall in the lineup that combined for 15 is something we haven't seen in a while.
No, but honestly, there were signs of life in Minnesota's offense. Miami's offense this week. Tyreek didn't have any big plays that you're accustomed to seeing, but 6 for 69 versus the way it's been is he had 10 points basically. That's acceptable. It's not what you want out of Tyreek Hill. Debo had 1, so I got the better of that trade this week. You know what I mean? Debo had like 2 points, I think.
Yeah.
So if I would have played Debo, it would have been worse.
How'd Juwan Jennings do? Nothing.
I think Juwan was fine, but it was Brandon Ayuk's week to get going. You know what I mean? While the 49ers were trying to and did blow another game inexplicably. I don't know what the hell is going on.
It's crazy. They're imploding. They're imploding so hard.
I still feel like they're just going to turn it on again like they did last year after they lost 3-4 in a row. But not having Christian McCaffrey definitely doesn't help.
They still got the bodies. I mean, they were statistically the healthiest team in the league last year, and I think that was. I mean, they were still dominant, and they still probably would have been dominant. But that does make an impact.
Yeah, well, and that's not going to happen every year. Like you're going to get injuries. You get lucky one year and you're not the next. So that's how a season can go sometimes. But to kind of burn down through it, there's not that much good to talk about here. The Daniels McLaurin connection is good. On my bench, Pitts and Cousins would have been a little better, but Kyle Pitts has been laying 0 burgers, so that's why he wasn't in the game. It's understandable why I did that. Josh Jacobs, I thought was going to have a good game, and he did. Would have been nice if he could have got a couple touchdowns. But
it's nice that your Kirk Cousins benching didn't end up costing you because it's only a slim margin away because you'd have got another 14, 15 points from him, but you still would have lost by 3 or 4.
Him and Pitts together though would have won me the week.
Oh no!
Yeah. So
or Rico Dowdle was 18. You're besides Jaden Daniels, your 2 highest scorers were on your bench.
And then I played Atlanta's defense, thinking maybe they're going to follow it up with some explosive plays, and they just didn't. There's yards all over the place in that game.
Yeah, it was.
So it is what it is. We'll chalk it up to whatever. I think we got the wide receivers that we want to have. I think we're solid at running back. We just need Brees Hall to get going. You know what I mean? And I think my team should average 100 a week and kind of blow up on the weeks that they do, which is what you want.
And then you had, on the other side of the aisle, Allen's putting up 100 points, which is respectable considering the fact that Saquon and Jahmyr Gibbs were both on a bye. I think that he
Yeah.
is. If anybody that watched the Chiefs game, seeing Travis Kelce get 5 catches in the first 10 minutes of playtime, and that is
Yeah.
a great sign.
Yep. Absolutely. He
Despite,
was.
I mean, because he's been garbage going into this week, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. No, he even off of that performance, he's still only the tight end 8, which is not where you expect Kelsey to be. So tight ends have been bad. There's been a few that have been a little bit more consistent, but all the top ones that we thought were going to be good have been pretty much bad. Brock
Mhm.
Bowers is probably one of the
Probably
better
tight end
ones.
one if you're looking
He's
for that trade potential.
Yeah, he's got to be close. You
Him and
know,
Kittle, I would say.
yeah, absolutely. Wandale Robinson was a good pickup for Allen. I mean, he just gets so much volume, and especially with Neighbors being out this week, you knew you could rely on him. Um, and then Brian Thomas is, he might be the second best rookie wide receiver right now. I think you got to call him that behind
He's a
Neighbors.
stud. He's a
Yeah,
wide receiver one that Allen got in the ninth round. Just killer.
yeah.
That's exactly why you take those late round flyers, is for that.
He's been better than Marvin Harrison. I took Marvin Harrison round 2. So, that's how you win is when you get guys like that. So it's a
Yep.
big deal for him. Obviously, Saquon has carried him through recent weeks as well when people are questioning why he's 4-1. Like he's had some performances off of Saquon where that's why he won. And Saquon looks like the RB1 this year. As long as Philadelphia doesn't, hopefully they got together off the bye because they were starting to look like Philly last year again. And
Yes, they were.
if they come out like that in week 6 this week, I think Sirianni is going to be coach number 2 heading on the launch train home because
Damn, you think so?
dude, you can't let him have 2 weeks to rally this team and then come out and lay another fart on the field, especially if you have AJ Brown and Devonta Smith back on the field, which they're both supposed to be playing this week. If you got everybody back and you still can't get it together with all the talent on this team, then dude's got to go. You
Yeah,
know?
that's fair. Because I guess they're only 2-2. I was thinking they were 3-2, but they did have a bye already. So I was going to say you can't fire a coach with a winning record.
Well, their losses were bad too. I mean, they blew the game against Atlanta, 100%. And then they absolutely just get wrecked by Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is good, sure, but not that good. Not where they
Nope.
should be, blowing you out 31-3 in the first
Uh-huh.
half. So, um,
I mean,
but
they beat
anyway,
Green Bay, so they're better than your team, but I guess nobody else. Huh?
whatever, dude. That was week 1. And we were playing in fucking Brazil. Give me a
Yeah, you
break.
were. That's a
Field
wild
was
card. I'll give you
terrible.
that. I'll give
Yeah.
you that.
You know what I mean?
Well,
I think
Allen,
we
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
I mean, I was just gonna say I think we win that game if we're playing not in Brazil because the would really change that game. We got on them early. We got two. We had an interception, a fumble recovery right away. We only got 2 field goals off of that. And watching those 2 drives, Christian Watson was wide open in the end zone and slips while he's going to catch the ball. And we were slipping all over the field. They put the long cleats on before us,
That's
got 2
fair.
touchdowns back, and the game was different after that. So I'm
That's
just like,
fair. But I will say everybody's playing on the same field, and neither one
it's
of them
true.
were Philadelphia's. But you're not
It's true.
wrong. It raises some issues that wouldn't exist otherwise. I think
Yeah.
somebody on Allen's team he's going to be looking to rotate in now that it's been reported Nico Collins is going to miss some extended time. Is Tank Dell down on his bench?
Yeah, there was a trade offer sent for Tank Dell this morning, but
Oh, was
there was
there?
there was. It wasn't fruitful. So, there's reasons why you'd want to have Tank Dell right now, I think. So,
Oh yeah.
as you said, Nico's out for 4 weeks. So I think it's
Is it
gonna be,
four?
yeah, he's on
Is he
IR.
put? Oh
He's on
shit.
IR. Yeah. So we ain't going to see him till later in the season, which kind of sucks because he was tearing it up. Number 1, I think. I think he was number 1 going into week 5, and after week 5 might change a little bit. Jamar Chase had something to say about that for sure. But so anyway, good win to Allen, I guess. We'll get back off the schneid. I'm not that worried about this team, but we got to start putting some wins together. So
There you go.
anyway,
What's next?
we got Todd and Jacoby.
Let's do it. Closest
So
matchup of the week, looks like.
yeah, and Todd's team's finally been doing it for him a little bit. I think he's got 2 wins in a row now. It's going to kind of hurt him a little bit if he's got to go back to Anthony Richardson because there's been some talk that Justin Fields, with another loss, might lose his job.
Yep.
Which I don't think is the right call. I think you let Justin Fields just get better
Well,
because
they
he's
talked before the season about it being Russell Wilson's job, and then he was just maybe a little bit beat up. But who knows how much of that is just what they're telling the media so that they can not play him. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's all fine. I mean, Justin Fields is 3-2 with his team, and he has two one-score losses. Like, he's had you there in every single game. And
But not because of him. Like look at the Cowboys game as a good example. They had all those turnovers and mistakes in the first half, and they couldn't
true.
ever get a lead. I mean, they did, but it was like 4 points. You know what I mean? And it was
Well, I mean,
gone.
that's not who he is right now, right? I mean, he's a game managing quarterback who can be explosive with his legs, but overall this year, he hasn't been making the big like game costing mistakes at the rate that he was earlier in his career. And I just think with a young quarterback like that, with a good coaching staff around him, you should let him, you know, unless if you get down to like 3-4, say he loses two more in a row, and now your season's on the line. Okay, fine. But you're 3-2, got a winning record. Why are we making the change in week 6? I don't think they're going to do it this week, you know?
All
So,
right. Who they playing?
um, oh, they're playing Vegas. They're gonna win that game and beat the shit out of Vegas without Devontae. And
Yeah, you're
Aiden
probably right.
O'Connell. Aiden
You're probably
O'Connell
right.
coming in. Like, come on, man. There's gonna be all kind of turnovers in that game. But um James Conner had a nice week for Todd. Drake London had a monster week on Thursday night. I mean, would have had two touchdowns probably because that route would have gone to him that went for the game winning touchdown. Went to his replacement. That clearly was a Drake London play that they just ran for the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so and then he got all the goodness on Thursday night. I mean, he gets two touchdowns out of Mike Evans doing Mike Evans things with
Oh yeah.
Baker. I
I
mean,
mean, Mike Evans and Drake London. He entered the weekend having almost 50 points.
yeah. I mean, you start your week like that, you don't need that much out of your other guys. And
Nope.
Bucky Irving's stat line would have looked a little bit better if he didn't have that game costing fumble at the end. But Bucky Irving's look good. Hopefully they don't decrease his opportunities because of that. I mean, Jesse Bates has been punching balls out uh,
Everywhere.
all year long. I've seen him do it like 3-4 times this year already. He's great at it. You wonder if Cincinnati would have paid him that money if their defense wouldn't be so freaking terrible. All I'm saying, he's a good
It's
safety.
possible. Todd's going to be having Jonathan Brooks coming back anytime now too, and there's a lot of hype around that dude as well.
Like I said in the group chat, I don't know how you just throw Jonathan Brooks in there and give him 70% of the workload coming off an injury when all Chuba Hubbard has done behind one of the worst offensive lines in the league is run for 100 yards a week every single week. He just dominated. Even when they're getting their asses kicked, Chuba Hubbard's still scoring points, making plays. Um, I
Yeah,
just don't see how you
I
put that
mean,
guy on the bench.
he didn't get 100 yards the first 2 weeks, but you're
No,
right.
but
He is on a tear the last three. He's been
they
on a
didn't have a
tear.
they didn't have a quarterback who could complete a 3rd and 5. You know what I mean? Now they got Andy Dalton, and they're not 3 and out and all over the place. You get a few more
That's fair.
opportunities. You know what
And
I
they're
mean?
getting 15 to 20 touches a game. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
I mean,
That'd be
that's what I'm.
tough.
That's I just don't see it right away. You need to
You think
see.
it goes to a split share, like a 50-50? Or do you
I
think
think
that's even over optimistic?
I think they work Brooks in, and if Brooks looks good, he'll steadily gain more opportunities, kind of like Gibbs did with Montgomery last year. You know what I mean? But you have a solid veteran running back who's handling the job just fine and is adding value to your offense right now. I don't think you can just pull him off the field right away without causing a
No.
problem in the locker room. So,
Yeah, probably.
um, but anyway, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the story of Todd's team. I don't think Josh Downs been good for him too, getting all those targets with the immortal one, Joe Flacco.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it's wild. That guy just can walk into any team in the league and just be like, guys, I'm good. Just tell me to play. I'll throw 300 yards.
Yeah, I'll
Cool.
figure it
All
out.
right. Yeah, like he just walks into teams and can just be better than whatever they have
He's
at
just
any
got a
given moment.
mind because you know how complicated. I know there's some overlaps with like systems, but for the most part, every team's got their own very in-depth like sheet and strategy and playbook, and he's able to go in there and pick it up and be efficient with it with with other guys in the locker room that have been there through training camps, and you know what I mean, and they can't even pull it off. It is impressive.
I think it helps that he's got a Super Bowl ring. That carries a lot of weight amongst players in the league, especially young guys. You walk into a
Respect.
huddle and immediately people respect you because they know you've done it. You know what I mean? And you've been
Yep.
great. You've been in the league a long time. So, you know what I mean? It's not going to be a thing where he's got to walk into a locker room and earn people's respect. Like he's already earned it across the league, you know? So
Mhm.
I think that has something to do with it too. But
Yeah, Todd's team's
um,
looking all right. He's got Jake Ferguson down a tight end who I wouldn't mind having on my team. A little biased being a Dallas fan, but
he's
he
solid.
doesn't. I'm looking at his team. I don't really see a weak spot. So good on Todd.
Yeah, I think he put a good squad together. On the flip side, I think Jacoby's team is pretty mercurial, and Patty Mahomes is not a top 12 quarterback anymore, ladies and gentlemen. He's just not. There's all kind of stats going back into the beginning part of last year where he has been like a QB1 like 20% of the time. Okay, because that's not how they're
Yep,
winning ball games right now. They're
that's
running the
not that's
ball.
not their plan.
Yeah,
They want W's. They don't give a shit about stats and high
no.
flying plays.
No, and I mean, he honestly had a good game. He threw for over 300, had the one pick that should have been, that was a 6 point swing. We could be talking about 19 points versus 13 and a half, you know.
That's fair.
Um,
That's enough to win Jacoby the game this week. By the
yeah,
way,
that one play. So, I mean, I thought he looked good, and I don't think he's looked bad this year. He doesn't have Tyreek Hill, and they have a good running game, and they have a great defense. So you don't need to win games that way anymore, where they have to
nope.
be airing it out. So,
Great quarterback. We're not saying he's not still number one or number two or number three in the league, but for
yeah.
fantasy, it's not a QB1.
He's not the guy you want to be rolling out
He was
there
on my
every
team
time.
last year, for those that might not remember, and I came in last place. So
He's just not. He's not what he once was for fantasy right now. Um,
nope.
I think Kyron is probably one of the best backs you could have on your team right now because they don't have anybody, and so everything goes through him in the passing game and in the running game, and he's looked nothing but stellar
Yep.
from the start of the year. So that's been buoying Jacoby's team a little bit. Ken Walker had a little bit of a down week, but when Ken Walker's healthy and is on the field, I mean, he looks like potentially the most explosive back in the league right now.
Yeah, 20
I
or 30
mean,
points is pretty manageable for him. And he's
he
got his
just
backup Charbonnet since he traded away Jamar Chase for him. So at least there's that.
Jacoby. Yeah, you did do that, didn't you, man? But anyway, he did get a week out of Brandon Ayuk finally, which is nice to see. George Kittle has been being solid as well the last couple
George
weeks.
Kittle is amazing with Christian McCaffrey being down, even though they're still using a lot of Jordan Mason. But you got Ayuk and Debo, like the rotating injuries between them, and
Yep.
Kittle's been the one consistent part of that offense besides Brock Purdy.
And I say it all the time, but I love rooting for that guy, and it's nice to see him doing well.
He's a character, isn't he?
He's awesome. I love that guy. Probably need to. I'm not a 49ers fan, but I'd consider getting a Kittle jersey. He's a good dude.
If he
Um,
wears jersey, you got to have the mohawk with it too.
I used to have Mohawk. Did you ever know that?
I did not, but
Oh, dude, I rock.
there's gonna need to be pictures surfacing.
I don't have enough hair to do a Mohawk anymore, man. But
I get it.
I
That's why
will.
I'm wearing
I
a
could
hat.
find a picture of me with a Mohawk from college.
Please
Used to rock
do.
a Mohawk when I was
Please
running
do.
track all the
I'm
time.
practically rocking a mullet right now, so we have that in common.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll do a rat tail for Halloween. Let's see.
one of my coworkers has asked me twice now. So when are you going to shave it off, man? I'm like, does it look that fucking bad, man? Does like my
What, the
hair look that
mohawk?
bad?
Oh,
No,
your hair
my
now.
my hair because it's like it's bald in the middle, but I'm
Damn.
not shaving it off, dude. I mean, it's not, it is what it
Just do
is.
what I do and wear hats, man, because this shit's running away from my head or from my
Yeah,
nose in a
can't
big
wear it.
way.
Can't wear a hat at the dealership. It's frowned upon. So,
You just got to wear a cool hat. Then they'll
although
be okay with it.
there is one guy that does wear a hat there.
Just don't
So,
wear a ball cap. Wear a cool hat.
yeah, I would have to be a nice hat. There's a couple
Get a
guys. So
fedora. You
I
ever
could do
wore a
that.
fedora?
I would never wear a fedora. Are you kidding me?
Put a feather in the
I,
cap.
dude, if I wear a fedora and start listening to Green Day, somebody punch me in the face immediately. How about that?
Use
All right,
you synonymize Green Day and fedoras. I like that. Okay.
100%, a hundred
Doesn't says
percent.
classic rock band Green Day like
Yeah.
fedoras.
Yes, it does. It 100% does. People that
Okay.
wear fedoras definitely listen to Green
We
Day.
don't
Wear
have the time
fedora
now,
today.
but we're gonna dive into this at some point.
Oh, we're gonna get into that because I tell you the numbers are strong. But Jacoby also got a great pickup in Kareem Hunt. It looks like that man looks like he's got a fire lit under him. Coming back to the team that drafted him and trying to prove himself again. He looks. I don't think it's gonna hold up
He
all year
didn't
long.
look great, but he got so many carries. He averaged less than 4 yards a carry, but he got 27 of them.
I watched the beginning of that game, and in the first half, I thought there were several runs that he looked a lot better on this year than he did last year when he was in Cleveland.
You know what that might be though, and maybe I'm just being a hater. The fact that he's got fresh legs 5 weeks into the season,
A
and he's
hundred
able
percent.
to, and he's got that extra little bit of vigor from getting a contract again.
Yep.
That could go away as easily as this week.
100%. That's why I don't think it's going to last all year long. But you ride that horse until you see him flagging. You know what I mean?
That's true. I think
So
that the best case scenario is that he continues to get 15 points for the next month until Pacheco comes back in November. That's what I think is going to happen.
I mean, for sure. I just think that they have a good offensive line there, obviously. And Kareem Hunt is very good at running between the tackles, which is the strength of that offensive line, as they reminded us 10 times on the broadcast Monday night. Thank
Not
you, Joe Buck, for being the most repetitive announcer in the world. But
wrong. Not
anyway,
wrong.
I think he looks solid. But I mean, Joe Buck loves to repeat every single fact and get his hands on about
Joe
10
Buck
times.
sucks.
Yeah, he's not great. I don't really like that duo, to be honest with you. My favorite one's Tony Romo and the guy that's with
Jim
him.
Nance.
Yeah, they do a good job.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Um,
I'd
but
rather watch the Manning brothers than listen to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. And Troy Aikman was a cowboy, so I shouldn't feel that way.
yeah, I
But he
can't.
just sits there and laughs at all Joe Buck's stupid comments and eggs him along.
And then he goes, Joe, when I was in the league, and it's like we don't give a shit, Troy. It's been 30 years, Doug.
Go
Come
take
on,
a
man.
shot at tequila and shut up.
It's been 30 years. Nobody cares anymore, dude.
Nope.
It's like Joe Namath getting on there. Back in the 70s,
Oh
dude.
God.
Anyway,
Oh
uh,
God.
whatever, dude. So let's move on. I mean, Jacoby lost. It's a close matchup. I think both their teams have been reasonably solid the last couple weeks. So good on you. And Todd gets the win.
Good
Um,
job, Todd.
Good job, Todd. Next one is the Butthole Wreckers. Good googly moogly. And the Team Cobra Kai. Um, it's
The
just
butthole records existing gives me hope that I might not come in last place again.
I don't I don't know how it turns around, honestly, man. I mean, well, you know what? You know how it turns around? Let's talk about hope here. Devontae Adams is getting traded for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if he ends up in New York, I think that's way better for him.
Well, what are the teams you've heard? I've heard New York. I've heard the
Pittsburgh,
Jets thrown around. I've heard the Cowboys, but the GM's already shot that one down.
New
Pittsburgh, you're
York and
right.
Pittsburgh seem like the most logical places to me, especially with New Orleans losing Derek Carr. I don't think Devontae's in a hurry to go there now.
Yeah.
He's out for at least 3-4 weeks. So I don't think Devontae, and that kind of puts it past the trade deadline. I mean, if they want to get something done right now, I don't think Devontae wants to go to another team and then sit around for the promise that's going to get better. He wants to go compete with somebody that can get him the ball and he can show that he's still Devontae Adams.
Well, and
That's,
he's got that
you know,
JJ effect too. Like it doesn't necessarily matter who's throwing that guy the ball. He's not quite in his prime anymore. I think most people would say, but he's still elite. And I think that Justin Fields or Russell Wilson are definitely more than capable enough to make that guy thrive. If he went to Pittsburgh, I think it'd be a great fit.
I also think he would like working with Mike Tomlin. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? I think he would have a lot of
100%.
respect for that guy, and I think Tomlin would treat him the right way because Tomlin seems to be beloved by all of his players. Kind
He
of
just got
unanimous.
the perfect mindset. What was the interview I saw him some post press conference or whatever a few weeks ago where they're asking about Justin Fields, I think, or somebody like that, and he was just saying, "Listen, Some coaches in this league will run away from coaching. I'll hear them complain about this issue or this issue or this being a problem. It's like that's a coaching thing. That's your fault.
It's
I
your
he
job.
says he says, and I quote, I run to coaching opportunities. I run to those moments, and that's why I
Yeah.
think he's so good.
That's why he hasn't had a losing season in 17 years, folks.
Yeah, that's
17
that's
years.
called accountability and
Yeah, dude.
leadership.
I mean, think of some of the teams that he got to a winning record with too. There's been some bad
Hmm.
ones in there. So,
Who was that
um,
racist quarterback they had?
yeah.
Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph. I thought you were talking about Ben Roethlisberger for a second, but
Oh, no, I would have said rapist.
yeah, that was yeah. I don't know which one's worse to be honest. Probably.
I
I
do.
mean,
I
yeah,
do.
they're both pretty bad. I think
They're
there's one
all,
that's worse.
I never realized how close rapist and racist were as far as the alphabet goes. It's only one letter difference.
It's pretty terrible. I think the rapist one's probably worse. But anyway, let's move on. Talk about football, huh? Speaking of rapists, Deshaun Watson, ladies and gentlemen, he's terrible.
He's so bad.
He's lost it. He can't throw the ball. Amari Cooper is wanting out of town. Better, he's going somewhere too, by the way. And they've been talking about him going back to Dallas, which would be a kind of a fun storyline. Amari
Jesus.
Cooper heading back.
Do we got to give him the bag of chips that we got when we traded him away?
I I don't know, dude. I mean, I don't think you got to pay much right now. Like he ain't been doing anything. So I
No.
mean, and but the Browns are going to want a king's ransom probably because they're the Browns and they don't know what they're doing. So um, that team can't get it right ever.
No.
It's they just
The
can't get it right.
closest they got to it was having Baker Mayfield, and they shipped him off, and he's having a hell of a year in Tampa.
They ruined Baker Mayfield for 2 years, screwed up his head, and then he finally had the same coach 2 years in a row and the same group of guys. And oh, hey, look at this guy that was a Heisman in college, came in with a ton of promise. He's playing great his first year, and you guys ruined him. And now he's back to normal, and he's playing like old Baker, and he looks great.
He
You
does
know,
look great.
so which makes
Fun
me
to
happy for
watch.
him too. Yeah,
People are rallying behind him. See,
I
I
like it.
view him. We've connected him and Derek Carr a lot. But like the opposite effect on their teammates, because Derek Carr's teammates are like this Joe Blow guy, and Mayfield's guys are like, yeah, this is my guy.
Dude's just there to go to war, man. He's out there fighting with D linemen every other play. Like
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
and he's efficient. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
like was it last year, the year before, when he looked so lost, and they were doing uh, video edits of him running around with the circus theme song over the top of it in the backfield because he was just flustered, confused, had no idea what to do. But now
He
he
had
looks
no
calm, sliding around in the pocket. He's got options. He's got time.
He's got great wide receivers too. That doesn't hurt. You got two, you have one Hall of Fame wide receiver, and you got another one that probably won't make the Hall of Fame, but he's about as good as a wide receiver too as you could ever ask for.
Yeah.
So, um, but anyway, the rest of Cody's team, there are bright spots. I think Bijan's got to get it going. I don't know how he doesn't get it going. Him and Brees Hall have been huge disappointments. Um, James Cook has been awesome for him all year long, even when the Bills are playing bad like they did, and still almost beat Houston inexplicably. I mean, 9 for 30 for Josh Allen, and they still almost won that game, which is kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No,
they,
Cooks has been the one consistent part. The rest of the team is all falling apart. Zay Flowers had a pretty good week, but he doesn't have a backup quarterback. I think he's still riding that Jared Goff train, which I'd said to start the year. Jared Goff won't be a QB1. I think a
hasn't
little
been so
extra
far.
value since he was stacking them with Jamison Williams, who's been great and will probably continue to be great. But he doesn't have a quarterback on his roster.
But here's the thing: imagine if you start seeing a turnaround for a couple of these teams. Let's say Amari and Devontae get shipped to better situations. Now you can go Zay Flowers, Amari, Devontae in there. You put Jamison Williams in your other flex spot. Cleveland's defense is terrible, so you got to get rid of them. And you don't really have a tight end because Cleveland's terrible. So your weakness is tight end and defense. And, if the other guys get it going, you could see it swing back to normal. Even if Jared Goff's only putting up 15 points a week, you could start having a winning team again. It's just that everybody on this team has been disappointing other than James Cook, and Zay Flowers has been kind of consistent.
Yep.
And Devontae Adams ain't playing because he wants to be traded. So he was
Devontae Adams not playing. Cody's still probably hanging his hat a little bit on Nick Chubb, but all these things that could go right will need a week or 2 or 3 weeks to kind of get into motion. They're not going to happen overnight. And as an 0-4, 0-5
You got to
team,
win now.
I think you almost have to win out. You can lose maybe one more time. Because
You
what? How
can,
many weeks
yeah.
in the regular season in this league?
If you lose one more time, the best record you could have is 7-6, which is usually you can slide into playoffs at 7 and
Uh-huh.
6. If you lose 7 times, you're probably out.
He gets
You
one
know,
more loss. That's what he gets,
yeah, I know.
realistically.
It's rough.
So
Rough to see a guy who's had so much fantasy success be in that situation. He just bet way too much on Cleveland, and they've been bad. So,
yep.
um,
Other side of the aisle, though, Austin's team 4-1.
Boston's flying this year. The as some people call the taco of the league is turning the tables this year, and he's had some guys that have been revelations. I mean, Alvin Kamara. We talked about it. We thought Alvin Kamara would be a solid running back. I don't think we thought he was going to be as good as he has been. He had a rough week this week, but I
Yeah.
mean, throughout the first 4 weeks of the year before this week, he was killing it. I mean,
He had a 43-point game against
yeah, man,
Dallas. He's the running back one, even with the dud of a week.
yeah. It's him. Him and Saquon have been the biggest
He
surprise.
looks so good. He looks like the Cream Hunt energy you saw that game, but he's bringing
Yeah.
it every quarter of every game.
Yeah, I mean,
It's really impressive.
He looks like Alvin Kamara of old a little bit. I mean, again, they had a tough game this last week against maybe one of the best defenses in the league. So you chalk that up to that. Geno Smith has also quietly, not really quietly. I mean, they went 3-0 and then dropped a couple, but they lost to the Giants. I can't believe they lost to the Giants.
That was so bad. I was in the bar working that one, and it hasn't been that quiet in a while.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And to have the chance to tie the game and to give up a touchdown on that play. I mean, come on, guys.
That's tough.
What are you doing? But Geno has looked good, and so is DK. And Jackson Smith has been involved. Maybe not as much on the touchdown side as you'd like to see, but I think he's coming into his own a little bit. Tyler Lockett is not really holding down that spot as much as maybe we thought he was gonna, from what I've seen.
They seem to like the hot hand at wide receiver because some days JSN's got 16 targets, some days it's Lockett. Geno's been doing it in kind of a weird fashion because if you look at his stat sheet, he's gotten exactly one passing touchdown in every game this season, but only one.
But he's throwing
getting
300.
Yes, but he's getting leg work too. He's got probably almost 200 rushing yards in the season and a rushing touchdown to add to it, which is huge for fantasy.
And he doesn't have to start him every week. Like, if the Eagles come out and start looking better, you can throw Jalen Hurts back in there again. You got other guys here. CeeDee Lamb obviously is great. I think Steph Diggs has looked good. It's going to get better for him with Nico Collins being out.
Austin's only problem is he doesn't have any depth. He's got a good starting lineup, like really good starting lineup. But as people start going down, look who he's got to replace him with: Curtis Samuel, Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get one of these quarterbacks off the team, and we need to get Zeke off this team, and we need to be hunting on the waiver wire a little bit more. If I was to give you some advice, but I'm 2-3, you're 4-1, so whatever you're doing, I guess keep doing it.
And to be fair, Austin hasn't been the taco in the league since Luis joined it.
That's true.
That's public knowledge.
That's true. And Luis is also winning too. So
we'll jump to that one.
Let's talk about that one. Erica, I think, has a great team that has underperformed a couple of times, but
you think she's got a great team because she drafted a lot of players you guys probably talked about before the draft.
She's got Malik Neighbors, dude. That was probably one of the best values in the draft where he went. He's a top 5 wide receiver, and you were able to get him in like 3rd round. So
it's true.
And she's got great wide receivers. She's got great wide receivers. Her running backs are a little rough. However, Chase Brown is starting to push Mr. Moss for more work every single week, and he's looked good doing it. And Chuba has been carrying her as well. And
Chuba's been good. Chuba got outperformed by Tank Bigsby down on her bench too. That man put up 25 this week and looked real good.
Her main problem is the Jacksonville running back room, because which one do you start?
That's what I'm saying. They get I think their first win this week, right? And it was on the back of Tank Bigsby having a 25-point day. So
9.7 a carry. The guy looked out of his mind. He looked
And
very
she's
good.
got both of them. That's such
That's
a
the problem.
pickle to be in.
That's the
I mean,
problem.
we're doing a double flex, so the two of them start at the same time is a good way to hedge your bets, but it's not going to lead to probably 140-point week because one of them is going to suffer at the hands of the other.
If they play great, it will. But if they don't play great, then you're sinking your ship. You know what I mean? It's too much. That's why I don't like playing two running backs from the same team because you
Yeah.
know what I mean. The risk is too great. You're putting too many eggs in one basket. You know.
Yep.
Um, but other than that, you know, I think she'll be fine. Obviously, she was missing two big dogs. I mean, she didn't have Amon Ra or Malik. She still put up 90. I think there's reason to be happy about that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, and you got Lamar on the other side. I mean, without that game being what it was and Lamar having a more average week, you know, this is a lot closer matchup. Um,
Lamar is the QB1 on the season so far. And kudos to Luis for finally changing his fucking team name from something that was about Brock Purdy in
yeah.
last season. It took 5 weeks. All right, Todd and Trish were at the bar, I think Friday night, saying, "Hey man, you gotta change your team name." He goes, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
do, no, I do." Yeah, 5 weeks ago. So but good job. Better late than never, I guess.
I guess so. He seems like he's a little bit more involved. Got to get that man in the group chat a little bit, and that will pull him into it. But you know,
Yeah.
he's young; he'll figure it out. We love you, Luis. But anyway, thanks for being a taco dog. Somebody needs to do it. But
I mean, you say that he's got the QB1 and the tight end one. If he was worth the shit at all at the other positions, he'd be above 500.
well, and the other thing is we all laughed at him when he went for Brock Powers, and he was right,
Oh, dude,
which
we
is wild.
roasted Cody for giving that for what we thought was taking advantage of him, and I
Cody
think
got
we
taken advantage
all
of.
got to eat a little bit of crow on that one.
Cody got taken
Because
advantage
what
of
we should have done was blown Jacoby's ass up for trading away Jamar Chase.
for real. And
I think we were all just so tired from all the shit we had to pour out for the first one. We didn't have any left.
we didn't have any energy. Spent it all on Luis. But yeah, man. I mean, I think Luis's team is fine. Another situation where you don't have enough depth, though. I mean, you know, one of these running backs goes down, and you're in big trouble. Which Devon Achan is on bye this week. I don't know what he's going to do. You're throwing Ray Davis in there. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
that's not great.
Well, I
Um,
mean, he's Luis still the second lowest scoring team of the league, only ahead of the Buffalo Records. So
if I was Luis, and I know Luis doesn't listen to this, so I'll give some free advice that he's never going to hear. You trade Juju Smith Schuster high for a low end running back, too. That's what you do with this team, sir. But anyway,
he doesn't know what a
that's what I
running
would
back
do.
two is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. But anyway, that would be the smart strategy. I doubt he does it, but if he does, good on him.
Were you sitting with Erica when she realized she was going to give the taco a win?
She was pretty upset because you know she'll ask me my opinion sometimes. I tell her this is what I think, and then I tell her you got to make your own call. And I said, you know, I don't think you play Baker Mayfield over Mr. Love, and that turned out to be the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Um, and a few others, but it's like at the end of the day, you know, she sets her lineup the way that she will. So, and that's what it is.
Yep.
Um, but anyway, and while you're listening to me, you got a better record than me. You should be setting your own lineup, but you got a better team than
Oh,
me, arguably.
ooh, listen to that
You know,
victim blaming. I like it. I
I
like
mean, I'm
it.
just saying, you know, I mean, I'm two and
I
three,
gave her
dog.
the advice. It's her fault that it was wrong.
Yeah, that's right, dude. That's right, dude. Never comes back on me. How about we
Yeah.
talk about the high flying matchup of the week? And we speed this up a little bit because we've been dragging out a little bit this pod, but
Yeah.
um,
We only got three left. Or two left, right?
two left. Yep. So the average Jakes, the swamp ass Jakes, I'll say it for Cody. Get off the schneid here. Put up a massive week on the back of Joe Burrow, Mr. Moore, Darnell Mooney, T. Higgins, touchdowns all over this lineup. He got six of them from his wide receivers.
That
And
Baltimore Cincinnati game, he had four Bengals, four Joe Burrow quarterback, Zach Moss running back, Mike Gesicki tight end, and T Higgins at wide receiver. He was covering everything and the perfect game to do it.
if you would have bet on his team and added Jamar Chase in there, you would have won $100,000 this weekend because that was the top lineup was
Which is wild because Jamar
yeah.
Chase was also in this matchup, but just on the other side.
Yeah, there's points all over this matchup, and it was all kind of coming out of that game, which makes sense because it was the game of the week. Clearly, I mean that game was insane.
Yep.
Very fun to watch. Good to see Joe Burrow doing the damn thing. I like Joe Burrow. I like when that team, you know, runs their offense the way that they should be capable of doing. It's just kind of a bummer that they're still losing games. They just have a terrible defense. You know what I mean? You can't put all the money on offense, ladies and gentlemen. You do got to be able to stop the other team once in a while. Otherwise, you get in a situation at the end of the game you can't stop them when you should be able to close the game out and you lose, a la Kansas City and Baltimore this year for them.
100%.
But for Brent, it's nice to see him taking some L's because his real life team certainly isn't. And so somebody's got to bring that guy back down to earth.
No joke. That man's been flying high and letting everybody know about it.
I love it. Brent's usually kind of a quiet guy, and he hasn't been this year, and I love it.
If you're going to go into full send mode, make sure you're the best team in the league. And so far, he's been. So
he has been, and he has a very dangerous team. This is not going to be a team if it continues on the way it's been for him. It's not going to be a team you want to play in the fantasy playoffs.
No, I mean, I'll let the Jamar Chase thing go because I've been kicking that dead horse a lot. But regardless of how he got him, he's got Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase at wide receiver. That's absurd. That's the wide receiver 1 and the wide receiver 3 on the same team. That's two first-round draft picks right there.
I don't know how that was allowed to happen, but it did, and good on Brent for making it happen. You know,
and then you add in this matchup big too, because if Christian McCaffrey wasn't on the IR, he'd have been in for Strozzi. Jordan Mason would be nothing.
That's the one thing that could change here, but I mean, he's got Monty. You know what I mean? Monty can come in, fill that spot, and he's only got to find one other fill-in running back there.
And in a month, he's going to probably have Isaiah Pacheco back.
So he'll probably be fine. Like the timeline's there, check out. You know, as long as Pacheco comes back.
As the rest of the league, and Brant, cover your ears because I don't need your head to get any bigger. Need Brant to have more of these games where he puts up 140 but just goes against somebody putting up 150. The only way he misses the playoffs now with this point lead is by win and loss, not by tiebreakers.
Yeah. We need to get this guy some L's, ladies and gentlemen. So you need to beat Brent because I don't want to play that team in the playoffs. Nope. But I got to get there first. But you heard me. Anyway, good on Mr. Strozzi for doing the dang thing. And Brent, I'm happy you got an L, but I'm glad you're feeling good about life this year, sir. Anyway,
because we all know what the Vikings do with these magical seasons, and they're gonna never win a Super Bowl.
They're gonna blow it in the playoffs first round, probably.
Let's just hope it's not in a Gary Anderson kind of fashion, okay?
Yeah, Gary Anderson. That man can't stay in a hotel in Minnesota if he had to.
What I don't think I've told Brant is that my father is a diehard Minnesota Vikings fan, and so it's been close to my heart for my whole life. If I had a number 2, it would be Minnesota, and he's still making me want to cheer against them.
I mean, shit talking's what fantasy's all about, you know. And so I'm glad.
100%. It's appreciated. I'm just bitter because I'm on the other side of it.
Yeah, well, and he's a division rival, and I do not care for the Vikings, and I do not care for the Bears. I'm all right with it. If there's a team I rooted for, I've said it many times, it would be the Lions. I like the Lions. I like their culture. I like their team. I think they're easy to root for. But the other two can suck these nuts. So anyway,
there you go.
Let's talk about your matchup and let's get out of here.
What do you got? Good job, Trish. Trish's team is good. Trish couldn't even be a nice enough person to let me have a W on my birthday weekend. She texted me and said, sorry, I couldn't let you have the win. I said, oh, you could have, but you chose not to. And that's okay. I respect you anyway.
Well, if it's any consolation, she lost Nico Collins for 4 weeks, so she didn't make it through unscathed.
She did, but who in the world is Tucker Kraft the last 2 weeks? That's the story.
He has been talked about around the Green Bay circles since the beginning of the year, and the hype train started building about 3 weeks ago, and you finally found out who Tucker Kraft was this week because
He's
he's a very
got
talented tight end.
he's got almost 40 points in 2 weeks, and he's only had 10 catches. And he gets 4 points a touch.
Go back and watch his highlight reel last year, and you'll see how athletic that man is. He was out there hurdling safeties last year. He took a few to the house last year from 50 yards out. Like it's in it, you know. He's a
It's
good tight
nice.
end.
It's nice when your Green Bay Packer homerism lets you land the tight end three because he was only on your guys' radar. I
Yeah,
guarantee you that.
I mean, is she a Packers fan too? She's not. She's a Seattle.
Oh my! I'm so
Come on,
dumb. Sorry, dude. I got sleepy brain. I was
man.
thinking Erica for a second.
Yeah,
Never
no, it's
mind.
all good.
Then that's irrelevant.
Yeah, I actually was looking at picking him up, but how do I throw a third tight end on my squad? I didn't know he was going to do that. Thought he was going to have a nice game against the pretty inept Rams on defense, but I didn't know if I wanted him more than Mr. Komet, who's been coming on a little bit, and Mr. Pitts.
Yeah.
So
When you're
you
talking
know,
about other auxiliary positions, how about Brant dropping the number one Minnesota Vikings, who have been number one after week 3? They were number one after week 4, and they've been number one after week 5. And she got them for free.
kind of wild that he's watched every minute of their dominance and decided to do that. It's
I
a pretty
know.
interesting move.
I know.
I'm
I mean, I
surprised
think
that
maybe he just had too many Vikings on his team because he's got Ty Chandler, he's got JJ, he's got Addison. It's a
that's
lot.
fair. That's fair. But you got a solid defense that's doing that, and you don't have to worry about streaming defense. You hold on to that,
Well, and
you
like
know?
just think about it from a statistical standpoint. Like when you think about leagues that do individual defensive players, it's almost kind of works against the best players because if you have a shutdown island quarterback, they just won't throw the ball. So you'll have the
Right.
best corner in the league, but you won't get any points off of it. Vikings are the opposite of that. They are so high flying and so intensely aggressive that they're sending people, and that causes chaos and a sack and a fumble interception is all that fantasy defense is made up of.
Right. Sorry, I had to let the dogs out. They've been begging me
Are
for
you
a half
good?
hour. No, 100%. I mean, I don't know how you do that, but he did. Trisha gets the benefit of it. Garrett Wilson came back to life, but if Devontae goes there, Garrett Wilson is gonna tank. I don't know how, because
You think
Rodgers
so?
likes his. I think so, man. Because he's gonna be throwing the ball to Devontae like that. Garrett Wilson ain't getting 20 targets. I think he had 20 targets in this game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He ain't getting 20 targets from Rodgers if Devontae's out there.
He's
Devontae's
not, but he
getting
might
20.
not need 20 targets to be worth the while. You know what I mean? If you got somebody like a D Adams on the other side, you might get a touch that's 3 times as many as your touches were before.
That's
Your
that's
average will go
true.
up.
That's very true. I mean, he could be more efficient. I don't know. I don't think it helps him honestly, but
Yeah.
uh, Derrick Henry having the 50-yard run helped her out. I mean, obviously she won by a healthy margin here against you,
Oh
but
yeah, she bowhoused me.
she got you, man.
My
But
team I think I pulled up my matchup, I think probably 5 times over the course of 2 days midweek just to kind of see news updates and stuff. And
yeah,
every time I did, my projected points went down and I would open it up and it'd be another person out. This week was nasty. Khalil Shakir getting ruled out. You had Sam
Taylor.
Laporta on a bye. Jonathan Taylor didn't end up playing. You had AJ Brown still on injured reserve for me. And then a day before the game, or 2 days before the game, the Patriots announced that
That they're
Ramondre
gonna bench
Stevenson is no longer the starting running back for them. So what
for one
happens
drive.
and I'm like, sweet, I got his backup. Cool. I've still got the starter in New England. And then he busts a
Yeah,
39-yard touchdown drive in the first quarter and
yeah,
instantly won his job back. It was
yeah.
garbage.
I think it was all, smoke and mirrors for them, to be honest. But, you hate when coaches do that to you. It was nice to see Worthy get another rushing touchdown. The problem there is, man, you thought Worthy was going to start getting these targets and they bring in Juju and it's all going to Juju. So,
Yep.
so that's pretty frustrating.
Very
Um,
frustrating.
the good
Jaden
thing
Reed's
for
been
you,
excellent. A little bit
yeah,
of a lower game today, but his floor seems to be 11 when Jordan Love's behind center.
he's going to have a big week this coming week. He's going to roast Arizona. They don't have anybody that can cover that man downfield. But yeah, he's gonna have a good week. Jade Reed's good. He's Jordan Love's favorite target. It's pretty clear to me watching those games, and he's
Yep.
done nothing but look great.
He's
So
so good.
very happy to have him on our team. Also very happy to have Xavier McKinney, who I got his jersey now. Let's go. Anyway, Um, but yeah, man. Is there anything
The,
else you
th-
want to
the,
say here, really?
well, the thing I thought was gonna save me in hindsight, my third and fourth round picks being Sam Laporta and Josh Allen has been probably the thing that's led to the most failure on my team. Because Josh Allen's had 2 30-point weeks. He's taken the team on his back every week, but he's not able to perform every week when he's the only guy. So he's got 2 30-pointers and then 3 absolute duds.
Well, and the bad part is for you watching the Bills is like they were overachieving clearly the first 3 weeks when they were looking so good. Injuries are starting to pile up out there, and he is getting knocked around
They don't
every
have a
day.
clear receiver. I'm watching him throw perfect passes,
Yeah.
perfect over the shoulder, like drops it in a bucket, and the guy just lets it fall between his
Yeah.
hands. We
He's
all saw
probably
that
just
one.
throwing it to Mac Hollins. You know what I mean?
Collins and
Yeah.
Keon Coleman and
And
Shakir's getting some, but nobody's really stood out as the guy.
if Shakir's not healthy, that offense is lost. And also, I don't know how we're not scheming up some more stuff for Mr. Kincaid because he clearly is the most talented one outside of Shakir on that offense, and they're just not getting him the ball, which is
Nope.
wild to me.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think there's everything in fantasy can turn quickly. You had some injuries this week. You're gonna get some guys back this next
Getting
week.
AJ Brown this week.
Yeah.
Hopefully, get some other guys back next week after their buys, like Aaron Jones, who's week to week now. But team's
Yeah.
not looking great. Team's a little beat up.
Yep. I mean, that's what it is. You gotta try to find some wins through the injuries, but
Hey, anything but last is an improvement. So
that's true.
I'm the only one in the league that can say that.
You can only go lateral or upwards, sir. So you can't get
Fact.
worse than last year.
Nope.
But um
All
yeah,
right.
man. I think that'll do it, It's good to be back doing the pod. I think maybe people might have noticed that we're both a little tired. I had to be drinking some coffee to make this happen, but I'm glad we did. And I'm glad for all the people that listen. I know there's not that many of you, but hopefully you enjoy it. And let's beat Brant this week.
Yeah, let's beat Brad this week. Oh
I
wait, you and I face off against each other, so
know
we'll have
yeah.
some fodder for next week.
I think it's going to be a high scoring matchup. I got some nice juicy matchups my guys are going against, so we'll see
Can't
who
wait.
gets the better of those.
I religiously go against people that put up 140 points, so I think you're on track.
They're estimated 116 for me this week, which is pretty high projection. So
Yikes!
we'll see. But
All right.
anyway, man, thanks for doing it. Thanks for listening, everybody. I think that's gonna do it. We're out. Peace.